Yes, and it's my ugly mug again, and it's culture controversial part 2, and it is Tuesday, the 4th of August. Now, let's get straight into it. British TV shows from the 90s that are now banned, and this was Britain before. So, see what you think of this.
For most of the 90s, Saturday Night in Britain by Noel Edmonds. His show launched in November 1991 on BBC One, and at its peak drew 15 million viewers to the fictional village of Crinkley Bottom. Grab a grand phone-in, the Gunge Tank, Mr. Blobby crashing through sets and terrifying guests with his dead pink eyes, and that shrieking voice that haunted playgrounds from Aberdeen to Plymouth. It was chaotic, loud, and utterly beloved. A senior BBC executive once called it the most important show on the network. But there was one segment that changed everything. NTV. Hidden cameras were installed in the homes of unsuspecting viewers, and Noel would cut live to their living rooms, catching families off guard in front of millions of people. Viewers were filmed in their dressing gowns. They were filmed arguing with their partner. They were filmed in private moments they never consented to share with a studio audience and a nation watching at home. At the time, it was considered hilarious. Today, it would violate the Data Protection Act, the Human Rights Act, and every Ofcom broadcasting code written since 2003. The gotcha segments were equally ruthless. Celebrities were lured into elaborate pranks and humiliated on live television with no warning and no right of reply. When the show was finally cancelled in March 1999, after falling ratings and a very public disagreement between Edmonds and the BBC, the format it had pioneered was already becoming legally impossible. The privacy regulations that followed in the early 2000s effectively made the core mechanics of Noel's house party a blueprint for a lawsuit. Number 6. Brookside. Phil Redmond's Channel 4 soap was set on a real cul-de-sac in the West Derby area of Liverpool, and from the moment it launched in 1982, it was designed to provoke. But its 90s era was something else entirely. In January 1993, Brookside broadcast the first pre-watershed lesbian kiss in British television history between characters Beth Jordache and Margaret Clement. The scene aired at 8 o'clock in the evening. Over 5 million viewers watched, and the next morning every tabloid in Britain had it on the front page. That same year, the show launched the body under the patio storyline, in which Beth and her mother Mandy murdered abusive father Trevor Jordache and buried him beneath the back garden. The storyline ran for 2 years and was considered so graphic that some episodes carried warnings more typical of late-night drama. Then came the incest storyline involving siblings Nat and Georgia Simpson, which Channel 4 delayed and re-edited multiple times before allowing it to go to air. Several Brookside episodes from this era were released on VHS with 18 certificate. Others were pulled entirely from repeat schedules and have never been shown again. The show that was supposed to reflect ordinary working class life in Liverpool became a laboratory for testing exactly how far British television could push before regulators stepped in and pulled the plug. And if you think Brookside pushed boundary, the next entry on this did not just push them, it smashed through them on live television while the whole country watched. Number 5. The Word. Channel 4's late-night magazine show launched in August 1990 and was hosted by Terry Christian alongside Amanda de Cadenet, Danny Bear and Mark Lamar. It gave British audiences their first look at Nirvana in 1991 and provided Oasis with their first ever television appearance in March 1994. Oliver Reed gave a legendary drunken interview that is still talked about 30 years later. But the show is remembered for one segment above all others: I'll Do Anything to Get on TV. Ordinary members of the public appeared on live television and performed acts so degrading that even describing them now feels deeply uncomfortable. People ate live insects. People kissed elderly strangers on the mouth. People did things involving bodily fluids that had the studio audience retching and the production team scrambling for the delay button they did not always reach in. The segment became a national talking point, but not in a good way. Channel 4's chief executive, Michael Grade, was hauled before Parliament to explain how a publicly funded broadcaster could air such material on a weekly basis. Mark Lawson, writing in The Independent, described the resulting crackdown as paternalistic taste policing from the top floor. But the pressure was overwhelming. In March 1995, the Word was cancelled after 5 series. No farewell episode, no retrospective, just silent. The show has never been repeated in its original unedited form. Today, media historians credit it as the direct ancestor of every reality television format that has exploited ordinary people for ratings, from Big Brother to Love Island and beyond. Now, here is a thought that might sting a little. Every show on this list existed because we watched it. We tuned in. We stayed up late. We chose it over sleep and over switching off. The broadcasters pushed the boundaries, yes, but we were the ones who kept turning up week after week. Millions of it. 1990s television did not happen to us. We made it happen by watching. And the 4 shows remaining on this list prove that more than anything else. Number 4, Top of the Pops. The show itself was never banned. It ran on BBC One from January 1964 to July 2006, and for decades it was the only place to see your favourite artists perform their latest singles on television. But in the 90s, hundreds of episodes featured 2 men who would later be exposed as predators on a scale that Britain had never confronted. Jimmy Savile presented Top of the Pops regularly throughout the 70s and 80s and into the early 90s. His final appearance was in July 2006 for the last ever episode. Gary Glitter, convicted in February of 2015 of the most horrific crimes against children, performed on the show multiple times during its original run. After Savile was exposed in October 2012, 1 year after his death at his home in Leeds, the BBC conducted a massive review of its archive. The investigation, known as Operation U-Tree, sent shockwaves through the entire British entertainment industry. Hundreds of Top of the Pops episodes were permanently pulled from BBC iPlayer, from repeat schedules, and from any future broadcast plans. If Savile appeared in it, the episode was gone. If Glitter performed in it, the episode was gone. Entire years of music history were erased because the men standing on that studio stage at BBC Television Centre in White City were monsters who had been hiding in plain sight for decades. As of today, over 300 episodes from the BBC archive remain permanently restricted. 30 years of Thursday night music television locked away because the people we trusted to host and perform were the very people children should have been protected from. Number 3, Brass Eye. In January 1997, Chris Morris premiered a show on
Right, I'll show that in the final part coming up soon, and then we can see what you think about it. Right, that's it for now.